Aw man, my channel's dying. Black Ops 6 is over. What am I supposed to do with no new content? I've covered every map. There's not one map that I would ever go. Oh, you. I have to. I guess that could work. Guess we're gonna have to redo you at some point. Alright, fine. So I think it's pretty apparent that I wasn't the biggest fan of Citadel Des Morts when that came out, and in my review I made it pretty clear that I think it's the worst DLC map that's ever launched. Now, having replayed it and having said that, I don't necessarily agree with that video anymore, but I'm still going to keep it up because there's still a lot of core things I agree with compared to having replayed it now and finally enjoying what the map has to offer in its entirety. So, replaying Citadel Des Morts, is it a better map than I thought it was when I first played it and reviewed it? Yes, it is in fact a better map, but that does not mean that I think it is a far and away better experience than it was when it launched, okay? I do not necessarily think just having replayed it changes the core issues I still have with it having gone through it again. So, that said, I don't want to be too negative. I don't want to do another review that's just pure negative because we all know how that went. And instead, I'm going to just be talking about the differences, in my opinion, and what I still agree with and what I still think are still issues that prevent it from being a top 10 or even top 20 map of all time. Some of those claims are absolutely ridiculous. That said, let's talk about Citadel Des Morts again, because Citadel Des Morts is an interesting map in that it tries to sort of pay homage to Dreisendrach, but it doesn't really accomplish any of those things. Now, what I will say is that from a pure aesthetic standpoint, when you look away from the castle, it looks great, and it does really have this vibe of a village, giving me that Resident Evil 4 vibe when that came out. It really does have a good vibe to the map, and I do like the aesthetic, I'll admit. It can be fun from time to time, and hell, maybe even a little creepy from time to time when you go to different areas. I definitely like the fact that it seemed to be a lot more darker, and at the same time still have a atmosphere that you can see around the map. I think it does really well in that regard. Yet at the same time, I still can't help but feel if they could have gone a little more with this. What I mean by this is that when you have all this area that's more compressed and you see the village from up top, you're kind of like, I wish I could go there. I wish there were more areas to explore because the actual atmosphere is great. I just wish we could have seen more of that, could have gone more to that. And of course, when you head up the stairs and you head inside the castle, and the fact you have to shoot down the door to open the castle, that's great, that's fun. But then you enter inside and you realize, that's it? It's over? I still think it's quite a disappointment that the main headlining castle is barely there in the first place. You enter through the entrance and that's pretty much all it has to offer. You go underground, you go into the courtyard. The map design issue itself is still there for me, but that said, I can still appreciate the fact that the Easter egg itself, I think, remedies some of this. Not all of it, but it does remedy this. There are some moments there for the characters that I didn't see before, like with Maya, who I personally didn't care for, but she has her own cutscene in this game, in this map actually. I think this is the only map where this is specific to her, and it's actually really cool. I wish they did more in-game cutscenes like this, where playing as a specific character grants you a specific cutscene regarding the Easter egg or even side quests. That's a really cool idea, and I have to give points to this map and give credit where it's due because I believe this is one of the few, if not the only map that does this, and it really stands out. It really gives the characters more personality. So Citadel, I'll give you a free point here. I apologize for not having seen this earlier because in my playthrough, which was my playthrough, it was buggy, okay? It was bugged. That the Easter egg, I just did it wrong. No, it was bugged, we didn't do it right, and it was bugged, okay? So that said, now that I was able to actually complete it this time and it wasn't bugged, it was great. It was actually a really solid Easter egg overall. I don't think it's one of the greatest of all time, but I can appreciate that it was really fun, and the actual boss fight was fantastic, arguably on par with Terminus in my opinion. I thought the boss fight was really good, and a really cool design as well. It actually, I think it has one of the best designs ever in zombies in terms of just visuals and how it operates as well. It's definitely slightly more difficult, but I wouldn't say, you know, too damaging or too difficult. But that said, I still think the boss is really cool and a really well done map. Overall, for the Easter egg, I think that's really well done. I think Terminus and Citadel are probably the best for this, I'll even give it this. It's arguably even better than Terminus for the boss fight because this actually feels a lot more engaging. I recently went through Terminus again, and once you figure out what to do, once you figure out the weak spots, it's really not that difficult. But with this, you actually have to remain engaged. So I can really commend Citadel for being a much more difficult and closed off map and applying that to the boss fight. I wish they did more of this, where they really applied aspects of the map into the boss fight and also made the boss fight very unique and interesting. And just all these things really improved the map for me. So, having gone through that, having gone through the Easter egg, having explored some of the more side quests, the incantations, which I did use in my first playthroughs and on review, I did use those as well. Having used those, it's a pretty solid map all around. But that doesn't change the fact that the swords are still pretty bad. That hasn't changed. The swords are still, they have gone buffed, but they're still nowhere near as good as they should be, even with Melee Mikado. And also, I think Voltrade being on this map is such an odd addition. I think, honestly, what would have made this probably a better launch for me is if this was the map where they had Melee Mikado introduced, because it would complement the swords, or even Electric Razor from Black Ops 4. If they had Ethereal Razor into the map and it had a debut with the swords, I think that would be a far better way to introduce old perks like that. But having Voltrade here just felt really odd to me. It still feels odd to me when you go into the courtyard and Voltrade is there. It's like, why Voltrade of all perks? On a map, especially where you're going to be using melee weapons, why would you want a perk that... Why would you want a perk that gives you ammo? Why? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me why they would have Voltrade on this map making its debut. I actually think it would have been great if they had Voltrade at launch, and then this is where they would have introduced a melee perk. That would have been perfectly fine. I think that would have been a far better way to go about it. I think that a lot of what Citadel does just feels a little out of place. I definitely think, had it been given more time, if it launched in January, I think it would have been an incredible experience. It would have been far better than what I thought when it first came out, and it definitely would have been arguably maybe the best map in the game. But it definitely feels a little bit rushed and cut content here and there that hinders from what could be now, from what I see, a fantastic map. But it's not there yet. It's not there yet. So to claim that it is the best map in this game, to claim it's the best map of all time, I still think is blatantly not true. You can believe whatever you want, of course. This channel is all about having diverse opinions, and you guys know that my opinions are not popular, okay? My opinions are not popular, especially regarding this map. So anyone's free to have their own opinion, but to argue that this map is, first of all, the best in any zombies game, I don't know about that one. I think that's still, even having gone through it, nowhere near in my top 10. That's just me, though, okay? So that's just me saying I don't think it's anywhere near the top. To argue it's the best of Black Ops 6, I can kind of see it. Again, you have to really like the map layout, and I do not. So if you do like the map layout, I actually could see an argument for this being one of the best maps in the game. It does have a strong layout if you like it. I personally do not. I think it's really bad. But if you think it's really good, I could see it. Personally, I think Shattered Vale has the best map design. I think Shattered Vale, however you want to pronounce that map, I think that's probably the best map in the game for me personally. So, again, we all have different tastes. I just think the map layout here is really weak. That hinders a really solid foundation here. Overall, I think revisiting the map was definitely good. I definitely think I'm going to be playing a lot more. And I definitely think that a lot of what the map has to offer can be good. Just, you need to really... For me to really enjoy this map, I think I really have to go through the Easter egg. It's one of those maps where you have to play the Easter egg or have to do a side quest to really get the most out of it, for me at least. And having gone through it, I definitely like the map a lot more. I just don't think it's anywhere near as good as people are going to claim it is. Claiming that it's the best map ever, the best map in the game, no way, not by a long shot. So, that's just my opinion, though. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy having played the map. I just really wish that people wouldn't take it so seriously, saying this map isn't good, and then claiming, well...
It's just a skill issue. You just have skill issue if you don't like this map.
Look, I'm not the best zombies player, okay? I suck at zombies sometimes. Most of the time, anyway. So, I don't claim to be the best zombies player. But when there are bugs, when the map layout sucks, when there are just things about the map that you do not like having underpowered wonder weapons, those are just issues, okay? Those are just issues with the map. Those are just things about the map that I do not like. If you like them, if you think they're reasonably powered, power on you. Good on you. That's good if you think that. I just disagree. So, Citadel Des Morts, this is not an apology, okay? I still hate you. But, I don't think you're the worst map in the game, and you've actually moved up a couple spots for me, okay? Citadel Des Morts is not a bad map, but it's not a great one. So, I would say, if I had to make it again, I would call it maybe mediocre, because it has great aspects, has bad aspects, has pretty average aspects, like Vulture Raid. So, those are my final thoughts regarding Citadel Des Morts. But what do you guys think? Do you think Citadel Des Morts is a great map? Do you think it's the best map ever? Do you think it's the best map in Black Ops 6? Let me know in the comments below. I like revisiting old videos, especially when they have a dislike ratio like this, because it does give me an opportunity to see what I did wrong, and just see where I could have been more clear with my thoughts. So if you guys did enjoy, please hit that like button and subscribe. I could always use a new addition to the Dark Ops army. And please let me know in the comments below what your favorite map is in Black Ops 6, and what you're looking forward to in Black Ops 7. Personally, I'm just saying right now that I'm not going to hold my breath when it comes to maps, because again, like I said, I still don't like this map entirely. I don't love it, but I do recognize that it can be loved, and I think that's something that we should all recognize when we're talking about different opinions, because we're all different opinions here. But thank you guys so much for watching. This is Dark Ops. I'll see you guys next time.